Hello, my name is Michelle Lee. I'm an immigration solicitor at Truth Legal, and today I'm going to talk you through some frequently asked questions about ethical recruitment in the care sector. You can use the chapters in this video to navigate to each question, or you can watch the whole thing through start to finish. And our email address is below if you would like to contact us about this or any other immigration issue. My colleagues and I will be happy to help. So what's the problem? The problem chiefly is the unethical use of repayment clauses. An unscrupulous sponsoring employer might use a repayment clause unfairly and in such a way as to recoup more than is owed by a sponsored worker. The repayment clause might be applied too strictly, too inflexibly, and leave a sponsored worker in a situation bordering sometimes on modern slavery. For example, in the worst cases, employers have used employment contracts to put their sponsored workers on the hook for thousands or even tens of thousands of pounds. Imagine the worker then wants to leave their employment because the job wasn't what was advertised, they're not making the salary they were promised, or worse still, they're subject to bullying or harassment. They then might feel trapped in unsuitable employment by the debt they might incur by leaving, and it's easy to see how this gets very unethical very quickly. Now, if you're a sponsoring employer watching this video or reading Truth Legal's online content on this issue, that kind of already means you're almost certainly not part of the problem. But there still might be some stuff here that you didn't know about, and you will hopefully find some reassurance that you can continue to get it right. So what's the solution? How do I use repayment clauses ethically? So there's nothing wrong with repayment clauses. They're perfectly legal, and in fact, many employers would struggle to make sponsorship work financially without the use of repayment clauses. Problems arise, however, when the clauses are used unethically or inappropriately. So what's the solution? The Code of Practice, which I'll talk about later in this video, is a really straightforward and accessible document that you can use to ensure that you're drafting and implementing repayment clauses properly. The code sets out 4 principles with really clear instructions attached to each. Yes, it's like a code of conduct, and you might think, oh, that's going to be a bit onerous to implement, but I'd actually say the way it's written and structured makes it really quite helpful. So what is a repayment clause? This one's really quick. A repayment clause is a clause in an employment contract which allows the employer to recover from the employee certain costs associated with their sponsorship. The Code of Practice tells you what costs you can recover from the employee and what costs you shouldn't seek to recover. This is my 1-minute explanation of what the Code of Practice is. So the full name is the Code of Practice for the International Recruitment of Health and Social Care Personnel in England. It implements the World Health Organization's global code on the same subject. So the code has wide application, but it isn't mandatory. Wide application means that it will apply in almost any setting where health and care workers are employed or recruited. It also applies to almost any health and care role. Adherence to the Code of Practice, as I say, isn't mandatory, but anyone involved in the employment or recruitment of international health and social care personnel is strongly advised to sign up. Now, the Code of Practice does 2 main things. Number 1, it provides helpful guidance on the ethical use, should I say, of repayment clauses in employment contracts. I talked more about that earlier in FAQ 2, what's the solution? If you're wanting to use repayment clauses and you're a health and care employer, I'd strongly recommend you listen to that part if you haven't already. The second thing the Code of Practice does is it sets out some rules on active international recruitment from red list countries. More on that coming up in FAQ 5 next. All about the red list. This is my 2-ish minute explanation. So what's the red list? The red list is a list of countries where active international recruitment is prohibited. I will come back to active international recruitment in a minute. So the red list is contained at Annex A of the Code of Practice. It's important because it recognises those countries where the emigration of healthcare personnel in large numbers could threaten the country's ability to meet the health and care needs of its own population. So one of the code's key functions is to prohibit active international recruitment in these countries to prevent some kind of mass exodus, sometimes referred to as a brain drain. What's active international recruitment? Well, it's the process by which an employer or other recruiter targets individuals to market UK employment opportunities with the intention of recruiting to a role in health and social care in the UK. Active international recruitment doesn't need to be physical, it doesn't need to be successful. Virtual approaches which don't lead to substantive employment in the UK can also breach the code. Examples might include advertising to candidates through any medium, incentivization activities back at home like referral bonus schemes, and commission paid to agencies. All these things can amount to active international recruitment. By the same token, if you receive an application directly from an individual residing in a red list country, you are permitted to employ that person, provided that the application was made to you directly, as I say, and without the aid of a third party and without any active advertising by you. So final FAQ, is there anything else I should know? Well, this video is just a brief introduction. For more information, I'd recommend you read the blog article we've posted on the same subject, which is called Ethical Sponsorship in the Care Sector, 5 Steps to Getting It Right. And you can always contact me, Michelle Lee, or one of my colleagues here in the immigration team at Truth Legal to talk further about this or any other immigration issue. You can find our contact details on our website, or at the start of this video, it's an email address you can use is just immigration@truthlegal.com. Thank you.